Are you ready for the best Sunday roast of your life? Today we're bringing you a Middle Eastern twist on the classic English Sunday roast, complete with all the traditional fixings of roast potatoes, Yorkshire puddings, roast vegetables and gravy. But this isn't just any ordinary roast, it's packed with tangy sumac and herby thyme for a flavour explosion that will have your taste buds dancing all day long. First up on the menu is a succulent and juicy roast chicken seasoned with incredible fresh tasting Middle Eastern flavours. We're going to marinate the chicken to lock in those flavours and then roast it to perfection to make the juiciest chicken you have ever had. The marinade starts with 2 onions roughly chopped, as well as 2 to 3 cloves of garlic. These go into a food processor followed by 3 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of sumac, 1.5 teaspoons of black pepper, and a teaspoon of Aleppo pepper flakes. We then add some fresh thyme. This is a key ingredient that really brings out the flavour of the chicken. You can leave out the other spices, but this is essential. Use around 6 to 8 sprigs and strip the leaves off the stalks. Finally, we add a couple tablespoons of lemon juice and blend everything together. Those onions will break down and turn a deep burgundy colour from the spices. Once that's all blended and smooth, it is ready to season the chicken. Today's guest of honour is a 1.5 kilogram whole chicken, which is the perfect size for a quick flavourful roast that can feed a family. To make it cook even faster and look better, we're going to spatchcock it. If you want to do this for Christmas, you could use a turkey instead, but you'll need to double or triple the marinade. To prep the chicken, make a cut on either side of the back and use kitchen shears to cut through the bones so you can remove the backbone. Then flip the chicken over and press down on the middle of the breast to squish it flat. It might take a few tries, but you should be able to flatten it like this with the thighs facing outwards. Now we're going to separate the skin of the chicken from the meat, which will allow us to insert the marinade under the skin so the flavours can penetrate. Use your fingers or the handle of a spoon to create a pocket. Be careful not to tear the skin or detach it from the chicken pieces when doing this. Of course, do the same thing with the thighs, though the drumsticks are more difficult, so skip them if you need to. With the skin separated, you should pack the marinade into those openings and massage it in place. You need to thoroughly coat the breast and thigh meat in marinade. Once you've done that to both breasts and thighs, apply some marinade to the underside of the chicken and rub any leftovers on the skin. This is what mine looked like after it was coated all over. Let the chicken marinate for at least 1 to 4 hours, or up to 6 hours for more flavour. While the chicken is marinating, let's make a compound butter which we'll place under the skin when roasting. This will add fat to the chicken and give it a juicier texture and flavour. To start, we have 50 grams of unsalted butter that we're softening in the microwave for a few seconds. Once the butter is softened, we add the zest of a whole lemon to give the chicken a fresh citrus flavour. We also add the zest of half an orange for more citrus and also some sweetness. Next, we mince a couple cloves of garlic and add them to the butter, along with a 1/4 teaspoon each of salt, black pepper, sumac and Aleppo pepper. Finally, we add 5 sprigs of thyme and strip the leaves from the stalks. Thoroughly mix the ingredients with the butter to create a Middle Eastern flavoured compound butter that looks and smells amazing. You could put this on toast and eat it, but it's perfect for roast chicken. We'll come back to cook the chicken with this compound butter after we prepare the sides, which is best done as the chicken marinates. The quintessential British side to a roast dinner is Yorkshire puddings. These soft oven-baked souffle style breads are great for holding gravy or filling with chicken. We're using Melis Cook's recipe, which is pretty foolproof since Yorkshire puddings can be drama queens and don't always rise like they're supposed to. To make the batter, add 200 ml of whole milk, 100 grams of flour, 4 whole eggs and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to a bowl or blender. Whisk this together, then make the revelation that you're an idiot for not using a bowl, and then also realise you're an idiot for using a whisk before giving up and blending everything together. Once it's smooth, transfer it into a jug or something that you can pour it from. Cover it and place it in the fridge for at least an hour because the batter needs to be really cold when we come to use it. When you're close to the end of the cooling time, preheat your oven to 230 degrees Celsius. Take a muffin or Yorkshire pudding tray and add about 3/4 teaspoon of vegetable oil to each mould. Swirl the tray so the oil runs up the sides of the walls and then place this in the heated oven to preheat for 20 minutes. Once that's done and the batter has cooled for a full hour, take the tray out and immediately pour the cold batter into the hot oil, which should start to fry and sizzle instantly. Try to distribute the batter evenly, then immediately place the muffin tray back in the oven and drop the temperature to 190 degrees Celsius. These are going to cook for 25 to 30 minutes, and you absolutely can't open the oven doors or they'll collapse. They'll suddenly puff up into massive fluffy puddings. Once they're well browned, you can pull them out of the oven. Quickly remove them from their moulds and place them upside down on a wire rack to drain off any excess oil. These can easily be made ahead of time, and although we haven't done anything special with them, you could add spices to the batter such as sumac for extra flavour. Alright, let's talk about the roast potatoes because these are going to be the best ones you've ever had. This recipe comes direct from the master of over-the-top recipes, Heston Blumenthal, but it's worth doing because you end up with crunchy roast potatoes with a glass-like skin and an extremely fluffy inside. As with everything he does, it has 1,000,001 complex steps. Peel, wash, boil, drain, shake, cool, heat, season, toss, roast, and lastly rest. In other words, get some good roasting potatoes like these Maris Pipers, which you need 600 grams of per person. That's not a typo, and yes, I'm 100% serious. You don't end up with much potato after cooking. Peel the potatoes and then cut them into obscenely large chunks, then wash off all the surface starch. The washed potatoes go into a large pot with about a tablespoon of salt and an optional stock cube. Cover them in loads of room temperature water and bring the pot to a rolling boil before boiling them for 10 full minutes. Drain them off in a colander, and here's where the magic happens. Rough up the potatoes by shaking them violently so they're all coated in craggly bits of starch, which will later form the crispy shells. They then need to be cooled so that the shell can firm up, so gently lay them out on a wire rack with plenty of space between them so they aren't touching. Let them cool for 20 full minutes, and while cooling, preheat your oven to 200 degrees Celsius. To cook them, start with a well-seasoned oven tray like this one, which is now non-stick. To the tray, add 125 grams of any high smoke point fat, which could be oil, beef drippings, or as I'm doing, duck fat. When the oven is heated, add the tray and preheat it for 20 full minutes to get the fat to frying temperature. Give the potatoes a few cracks of salt and pepper, then carefully take out the tray and gently add in the potatoes. They should instantly start to fry in the fat with an audible sizzle. Don't overcrowd the tray, they're going to need space to fry and get crispy. Give each one a toss to coat all the sides in fat, then put the tray in the oven to bake for 20 minutes. They'll have really shrunk down when they come out, but they won't be fully browned, so toss them in the fat again and flip them over. Give them another 20 minutes in the oven and let them continue frying until they're golden and crispy on all sides. Take yours out when they look like this and have shrunk down into nothing. This is why you start with so much. While they're still hot, season them again with salt and a dusting of Aleppo chili flakes. You can hear just how crispy these turned out. They sound like rocks scraping against each other. They will be crazy hot, but if you crack into one, you'll instantly notice the crunchy grass-like exterior and the soft and fluffy interior that makes them the best roast potatoes you'll ever have. Pull them off the tray so they don't soften, and then keep them aside until you're ready to serve. Alongside those, we need a healthy side, so let's roast some broccoli, carrots and cauliflower, which we'll serve on a tasty tahini sauce. Just chop and wash the veggies, then toss them with olive oil, salt and freshly cracked pepper. Roast them for 20 to 30 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius until done. I do mine at the same time as the chicken, and I prepare the tahini sauce while they're roasting. Blend or whisk together 300 grams of Greek yogurt, 50 grams of tahini, and a quarter teaspoon each of salt, pepper and cayenne pepper. Add a clove of garlic, 4 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice, and blend until it's well combined and smooth. You can thin the sauce out with water if you want, but we're keeping it thick for easy plating. Serve the sauce in a bowl for dipping, or spread it on a plate and arrange the veggies on top in the snobbiest manner you can think of. I struggle to dip the veggies attractively, but I promise that this combination makes for incredible roast vegetables. Another thing you should try combining is your data with today's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. By now, I'm sure you've heard about VPNs, but as someone who works in tech, I don't think you realise just how much you do on the internet is tracked. Everything you do, from your searches to where you hover your mouse and what you click on, is tracked by companies and sold on to third parties. Because I searched for Heston Blumenthal online, you can bet I'm going to be getting ads for all of his products. What I should have done is use Surfshark, because it can identify and block trackers so they can't see what you're doing online. First, you connect to one of the VPN's 3200 servers and enable the clean web option. Then you just enjoy being online without anyone tracking you or serving you ads. And while you're connected, you can take advantage of the VPN to break through geographical restrictions and access content that isn't available where you are. Say you're located in the US and you want to watch a British TV show but it isn't available. You can connect to a Surfshark server in the UK and watch it to your heart's content. So I've got a good deal for you. Surfshark are offering my subscribers 83% off and 3 extra months for free, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to surfshark.deal/Middle East to claim the special offer, or click the link in the description. That's 83% off plus 3 free months with the code MiddleEats. Thank you, Surfshark. It's finally time to cook the chicken. You want to do this last, that it's nice and hot when you eat it. First, remove as much of the marinade as possible from under the skin. This might get a bit messy, but for the skin to get crispy, the marinade needs to go. Don't worry if a little bit is left behind. You also want to clean the marinade from the exterior of the chicken. When you feel like you can't get rid of any more, it's time to add the compound butter from earlier. Place small pieces under the skin of the thighs and breasts, and then massage it into place so it's evenly distributed across the 4 pieces. Next, use some kitchen towels to get rid of as much marinade as you can so the exterior is clean and the skin is dry. Preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius, and to a baking tray add a few cloves of garlic and some shallots, as well as a few sprigs of thyme. Then to a wire rack add some lemon slices and some more thyme, then the chicken goes on top. To help the skin brown nicely, pour over a little olive oil and spread it with your hands to coat the skin well. Give it a quick sprinkle of salt and pepper, then it's off to the oven for about 40 to 50 minutes. When it comes out, it should be stunningly browned like this. A roast chicken has honestly never looked this good. The skin should be well browned all over and nice and crispy. Use a thermometer to check it for doneness in a few spots and then let it rest before carving. You'll be amazed how juicy this ends up, especially the breasts. I doubt you've ever experienced one that is this perfectly cooked and juicy from a roast chicken. While the chicken is resting, let's make the final component, a Middle Eastern flavoured gravy using the chicken's juices. Pour some hot water into the baking dish and swirl it to dissolve the chicken fat and brown bits. Also get rid of any shallots or garlic that are burnt. Place a saucepan on the stove and add 15 grams of butter over medium heat. When it's melted, add 15 grams of flour to make a roux and cook that for a minute until it starts to brown. Add 150 milliliters of cold whole milk and mix with the roux until it has dissolved. Add the shallot and garlic pieces from the tray and then pour in the chicken juices, making sure to strain out any burnt bits. Blend everything together until smooth and cook this on medium heat for a couple of minutes until it thickens. It might need some seasoning, so taste it and thin it out with water to your desired texture. I prefer it with a thicker texture like this one to easily coat a spoon with some delicious chicken. Now that it's done, let's serve this roast dinner. I think it works well as a family style serving with all the sides plated on a board. Another option is to cut the chicken into 4 pieces, then serve them with the sides on individual plates. That plate is going to be one of the best Sunday roasts you could ever make at home. I think that is one of the best Sunday roasts you could possibly make. The chicken is so juicy, so flavorful, the gravy is delicious, the vegetables are perfect, the potatoes are so crispy. Yeah, it is just insane. Now, if you're looking for other meats that you can make as part of a Sunday roast, we've got loads of different recipes on the channel, including lamb legs, and you could definitely make those. Now, excuse me while I go and finish off this amazing plate.